Craig, you don't have to either. I don't want to pressure you into anything either.
No, I want to.
I remember seeing white spots in my eye. Like I couldn't see. Like I started losing vision slowly, and within 3 days, it was like to a point where it felt like not just like pink eye, but it was like really sensitive. And my friends that work at an eye doctor's place, like they told me, you have to go get that checked out. Like you don't know what it is. And I was like, I'll be alright. I went to a regular eye doctor, and they gave me regular drops for it. And then within a couple more days, it was like severely worse. I was getting headaches. I was seeing less. I couldn't even open my eye at some points, and I was like, okay, let me go see a specialist for this. And then within the span of a week and a half, it was like all I heard was like, you might not be able to see again. Like they said, there's a 50% chance that you'll get your vision back. And after I saw an actual an eye specialist, for the cornea, they were telling me like you need surgery to get this fixed.
My mom had hired, not hired, you can cut that part out. Start again. So when I was 8, my mom brought a woman to our house to read the Bible to us, my brother and I. He's 5 years older than me. And my parents were like Catholic. So she started to read us the Bible and things. I was 8 and my brother was 13. And so I started to get excited, like this God was so good, he was so cool. And then the excitement was kind of taken away because my older brother was like, hey, this is not real, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. But I wanted to know more. And it kind of I guess took that away. So, and then the more we learned about it, the more excited I became. And then, my brother was like, hey, I'm older than you. And I remember he opened up the Bible and showed me the story of the Red Sea parting. And he was like, this can never happen. It never will, and it never has. This is not true. This is a story. And I started to read it, and I thought, because I didn't know how big God is and what he can actually do, I was thinking yeah, this is not real. This doesn't sound real. So from that moment on, from when I was 8, I just started to not believe in God.
Came to the Lord in November, the end of November, beginning of December. It's just been it's an amazing journey.
Alright, man. Do you need a hug?
I always believed in God, and I believed in Jesus and the Trinity and everything, but I didn't understand, I think, the depth of it all, and I didn't understand that there wasn't just religion, there was relationship. So I think that changed for me in high school. And growing up, I think what eventually drew me to God was just my distortion of what love looked like. I grew up in a family where my parents got divorced, so it was something I don't even think I realized it was hard for me until I talk about it after. I don't know, love was something that I feel like was always important to me. As a kid, I just grew up watching it and wanting it, so I think it was really hard when it was broken within my family. So it's something that I always really wanted for myself after that, and not even to find love romantically, but I think that I didn't love myself enough when I was a kid. because I just went through like a lot of different things that, from like teasing, like I just never felt confident when I was young.
I was bedridden for a while. Like one whole week I was like in my bed. I was just like, what's going on? You know, and when I remember talking to my boss about it, and she's like, you know, we're gonna have to let you go. We're gonna have to replace you because we can't, you know, we can't hold out on it any longer. And I was like, I understand. That's fine. And that time too, like my relationship at the time, it was like that ended as well. Like she was just like, you know, things aren't working out. That's a whole other story, but it was like that was gone. And within the span of a month, with all these things happening, I lost my job. I was basically heartbroken, and I was like, I couldn't help myself. I was like done. And I'm that type of person that's like, I'm independent. I could have, you know, I could, you know, take care of myself. But at that time, I felt so helpless. You know, I was at a point where I couldn't even put my eye drops in my own eye. You know, I remember waking up my mom in the middle of the night. I was like, you know, can you help me with these eye drops because it was not working out. And I felt so helpless.
My junior year in high school, I made a friend, and she started to, you know, leave school early, and so I decided to do the same. And then she'd asked me if I smoked, but I didn't because at the time the boyfriend I had would like not approve of anything else. So I was like, oh well, I did, but I don't now. So we started to do that, and I think I went to school for only a couple of months. Then I didn't go anymore. So we started just on like smoking marijuana, and then then we started going to parties, and I started getting like hooked on cocaine. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
And then we got hooked on other things like crack and stuff like that. And it was really hard. And then I tried to beat that on my own, and you know, going from like drugs that are constantly making your body active, it was really hard to get off of that on my own strength. And so I developed like severe anxiety around people, around anything. I didn't really have a reason why, and so I tried so hard to get off of it, and I just couldn't. So eventually I just left school. So I dropped out of high school because it was too much. So I dropped out of high school, and then I had a friend that like I used to do drugs and things like that, so he used to like sell them, and his friends did too. So it was tough because I allowed myself to be used sexually in order to get them. It was really hard because I thought that was love, and it wasn't. And so I knew that he had other partners, and that was okay with me as long as, you know, I was getting something out of it. So I started to hang out more with this person, and we started to take up on like these drugs together and meet all these people and go to all these parties and do all these things. And then, so when I dropped out of high school, he was the only friend I had left.
During services, I've been feeling people's pain. Stuff that I would never have done before. Like growing up, I was, well, actually to the time I found the Lord, I was very prejudiced, hated a lot of people. I hated a lot of people, I hated myself. Didn't know what direction I was going in. coming to church. It's helped me a lot. I don't degrade anybody. Don't even think it. They're starting to love everybody. Like we are brothers and sisters. And I'm treating everybody like I would treat my own family.
Over the years, I think it was leading up into high school, I struggled with different things. Like at the time, I would tell myself it wasn't like an eating disorder, but I used to eat and then I would work out instantly after, and like it all started like just working out. I'd read like magazines and do workouts, but then I would overwork out, so I would count all my calories and I would literally like portion every single thing I ate to like an extreme where I counted every single thing and like wrote it down. I would work out like all day. And I remember walking into high school sophomore year, and I went from probably weighing like 130 pounds to like 100 pounds. Like it was a lot. It was like 120 to like 100 pounds. I remember everybody just noticed me, and I felt noticed for the first time. And I felt like people noticing me and finding me like not overweight, not chubby. Like I felt like I was gonna be loved in a way somehow, that I was living up to what people's expectations of what girls should look like. So I started viewing like love in that form as well, was being accepted, not being outside of the idea of what was considered to be beautiful. So that was distorted. And so that was something that was really hard for me. Again, at the time I didn't realize that it was, I think it has a name now, I don't even know what it is, but it wasn't anorexia and it wasn't necessarily bulimia, but it was something that I struggled with. And whenever I talk to people now about it, like it might not be the same thing, but it's something that I can relate to.
When you guys saw me during that time, because I was going, every so often I was going to Grill. I wasn't going as regular, but when I started going and when I asked for the prayer for my eye, because during that time it was after the surgery happened, there's about 6 months to a year where the eye could be rejected, and after that surgery happened, we were still unsure whether my body would take the eye, and that's when they found out there was some rejection that was happening, and that's when they had to inject it with steroids and stuff like that. That's when it got really red and nasty, and that's what I was like, God, I thought you were healing me, I thought, this was, part of your plan, so why is this happening again? So, again, just I had to go through it, and the power of prayer again, you guys like praying for me, I felt like it was just God moving again, and I was, sometimes we might not get the answer as to why this whole thing happened. That's not the purpose of like why God puts us through these things. It's not for us to, maybe we won't find out till later on, but yet we have to remember that He's gonna use this, for some other reason. He's gonna use this to go part of His plan.
I had a dream one night, so random, and I had a dream that everything was pitch black around me, and there was like this very angry bulldog, I guess, and he just kept like barking and growling at me and inching closer and closer, and I was becoming afraid. And then he started like cursing these words that are so vulgar and disgusting, like those curse words no one uses. And it was frightening, and I tried to look around to get distracted from that, and there was nothing. It was just pitch black and him. So he became really loud and he got closer, and I was more afraid. And all of a sudden I just hear the most peaceful voice I've ever heard, and it says, "Don't look at him." So it's okay. Should I? Okay. So the voice is telling me to not look at him, and so I didn't know who it was. So I'm like, okay, but I'm looking from the corner of my eye. I'm still looking, and the voice says again, "Don't look." So I don't look, and I'm staring into pitch blackness now, and I'm trying to figure out, what does this mean? So the voice tells me, don't look at him, don't answer him, don't respond to him, just look at me, just pay attention to me, and I'm gonna save you, and my name is Jesus Christ. And I was atheist when I had that dream.
One night at Gorillas, kept hearing the name Sam, and I heard it a few times. I met him once. He is African American from Nigeria, and I was looking around the church, and I was sitting on the right side, he was sitting on the left side, and when I turned and looked, I locked in on him, like it was almost like a magnet. And after the service was done, Mariano asked if anybody needs prayers to come up. He walked on the right side of me. He was hitting the column, praying, and my attention just kept going to him. And I asked the Lord, is this who you're putting on me? Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to get up and go to him? Since I was still new to the church, I don't know how to pray for somebody. And I had the urge to get up. I put my hand on his shoulder and I just started praying. And afterwards, he gave me the biggest hug. And I went up to Thomas and asked him if this was Sam. I told him what was going on. He told me ask Mariano, or let him know what happened. And they told me to go to him and say that the Lord sent me to him. The old me would never have done that.
I remember Mariano sent me a sermon one time for Christmas, and I was sitting at home watching, I feel like it was a really long sermon. And I remember just being so enamored with the way that they were talking about God and the way that your life could be with God in it and the relationship you could have with him. And I remember just thinking, this is what I want my kids to grow up with. I don't want my kids to ever be forced into anything or to feel like they're just reciting prayers and hymns and not understanding who it is that they're talking to, but I want my kids to have relationship with this God, and I want them to know him personally, and this is what I want, this is what I've been seeking, and this is what love looks like. And I remember I gave my life to Christ over the computer. This is why I am the media director. And I just remember just wanting more, and I would watch. I didn't have church services that I could go to around me because I didn't feel like I could go to a Catholic church. And even before this, I remember after I met Mariano, I tried going back to my Catholic church because I was like, he has such a light about him. I just want to understand what it's like. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. I'm going to try it again. And I would go to my church, and I would take my mom with me. We would get up really early, drive down to Newark, go to church, and for some reason, every single time I stepped into the building, I would black out, and I couldn't breathe, and I would start crying, and I had to leave the building. And it happened to me for months, and I literally could not sit through more than 5 minutes in the service, and then I would just get really short of breath. My eyes would get spotty and black out, and then I would have to run outside because I felt like I was going to pass out. And then I would get really mad at myself because I thought that my chance to have a relationship with God was just over. It was kind of okay, well, you had your chance, you blew it, it's too late now. Better luck next time. And I was just really angry with myself. And I felt that maybe it wasn't just supposed to happen for me, or it just wasn't possible. But after I was exposed to that service online, I realized that it was possible, and I just wasn't feeling that connection to God in the way that I had been trying to find him when I was younger, or was being forced to find him when I was younger. And like, I just didn't feel that relationship there. It was all religion to me. And I know that there are people who do have a relationship with him in that way, and that's fine, but it wasn't how I needed to seek him out.
So I walked into this place for the first time being someone who was broken, and I thought me being broken is not something that the Lord could use. And I came quickly to learn that that's exactly what the Lord could use, because I needed to be broken down and I needed to be nothing so that he could create something out of the nothing that I was. And then, pause, wait. I don't know, I'm just excited. I love God. No, but yeah, so, and I was able to change, and it's good to see, but it's not for me. And I'm willing and ready. Well, not ready, but ready to ask the Lord to make me ready.